Well, hello, YouTube, and happy New Year's Eve. It's New Year's Eve here where I am. If you're on the other side of the world, it might be yesterday. Did I do that right? Yeah. Or maybe are you already there? Yeah, it's New Year's for you, I guess. Anyway, I got confused. I was in Australia for a while and now I'm back in the States. So I'm confused as to how time works. All right, so what are we talking about today? Same thing we always talk about. This channel is called The Four Things. Again, let's focus on what the name of this channel is. The Four Things That Heal BPD and NPD Abuse. What I'm here to do is to share with you what I did, which healed me completely from the damage that was done to me in a relationship with an undiagnosed, untreated borderline. That's the only thing I'm here to help you with. I will not, nor do I have the ability to take care of any other life pain that you may have. The only thing that I can guarantee is that if you do exactly what I did, you can have what I have, which is 100% freedom from any pain, discomfort associated with that relationship. And one of the things that I do to help empower you to make that choice is I will spend sometimes hours talking ad nauseum about the nature of borderline personality disorder, the nature of codependence, and so that you can feel as though somebody relates to you. You can feel heard. You'll know that you're not alone in your pain. But one of the unavoidable consequences of that is that people will hear me talk about these things. They will feel for the first time, maybe, somebody is explaining their situation, and they will feel a relief. In fact, I get no shortage of comments from people telling me how much I have helped them and how much my videos help them, because for the first time somebody's explaining it in a way where they feel heard and understood. And yet, as wonderful as those feelings are, those feelings that you have, even if you feel an affinity toward me personally, all of those feelings have only one function, which is to motivate you to do the four things. That's why I call this channel The Four Things. If you do the four things, you can have what I have. One of the first things is you have to become aware. And that's the only thing that I can do, is talk about it in such a way where you feel connected. And for the first time, it'll stop the hamster wheel, where you can stop and realize, wow, I'm not alone, and there is hope. And yet, I don't know what the percentage is because I haven't done any effort to figure it out, but it wouldn't surprise me if the percentage was very low. That the actual percentage of people who actually did the four things, who leave all those comments, in fact, it is my belief that the more vociferous somebody is in heaping praise upon me for having relieved them of their pain or whatever their compliments are, I would be willing to bet that the percentage of those people who actually go on to do the four things is probably very small. I'm totally okay if I'm wrong about that. The other thing you should know about me and this channel is I don't give a crap what happens to this channel. I do not care if you subscribe or not. I don't care if this channel gets, no, YouTube won't, but my other channel is in danger of getting taken down a lot because I have to be careful what I say on the other channel. But on this channel, there's probably nothing I can say that will keep it from getting getting deplatformed, but I wouldn't lose an ounce of sleep if it did. I don't care if you watch my channel or not. I don't care if you subscribe to my channel or not. I don't care how you feel about me. I have no need for you to agree with me, to disagree with me, to like me, to dislike me. And why is that a good thing? Because it means that I have no selfish agenda on you. I'm not going to sell you anything. I make no money from this channel. I mean, maybe there might be some advertisement, I might make, $50 a month or something like that. But that's nothing. But in terms of you personally, I don't make any money off of you. I mean, you can still join the channel if you want. I stopped putting any energy into that a long time ago. I don't promote that. I don't care. What does that mean? It means that what you're going to get from me is the truth. That the only thing that I get from this channel is whatever good karma I get from doing something, giving somebody the opportunity to accomplish what I've accomplished in this. And outside of that, the good feeling that I might get for knowing that somebody might find recovery. And my goal for you is that you actually do the 4 things and you no longer need to watch this channel. That you do the 4 things and that you look back and you realize how ridiculous it all is. Even the things that I do and the things that I say. Because now you have the tools. Now you know how to heal yourself. Now you're self-empowered. Now you don't need anything from anybody, including me. And if you want, you can start your own channel. That would be awesome. I don't need to compete with anybody. I don't have any insecurity about other channels like mine popping up. It would be wonderful if that happened. That would be that many more people that was out there giving out the truth. So just to be clear about that, I don't care if I don't go on here and say subscribe to my channel. I don't care if you subscribe to my channel. I don't care what you do. It doesn't mean I don't care about you. It doesn't mean that I don't have empathy or sympathy for you. In fact, I have tremendous compassion, believe it or not. I have tremendous compassion for everybody that comes onto this channel, even the ones that think I'm an asshole. Even if you think that about me, I have nothing but compassion for you. I relate to wherever you are, whatever state of powerlessness you are in, I relate. And I understand, which is why I can be harsh with you. Why? Because it takes one to know one. And why is it that when I'm harsh and direct with you, it's not judgmental? Because when you're judging somebody, you're separating yourself from them. I'm just like you. The harshness and directness that I have towards you is the same that I have towards myself. And guess what? It works for me. Maybe it doesn't work for you. That's okay with me too. My way isn't the only way. My way of interacting isn't the only way. But I only know what I know. And what I know is that if you do the 4 things with everything that you have, if you are somebody that has been damaged in a relationship with cluster B, if you do the 4 things with everything that you have, like your life depends on it, because it very well may, then my guarantee to you is that at some point, I don't know how long it will take, but at some point, you will wake up one day and you will go, wow, I didn't think about my borderline ex all day. I didn't wake up in a sweat. You'll realize that you no longer have the pain that you had. You'll look back on your relationship with your borderline or your narcissist with nothing but compassion, without, breaking down into tears. You will look back on it with compassion, and you won't have any regret, and you will realize that the relationship was a fraud on both sides, that not only did they not love you, but you'll realize that you didn't love them. you'll realize that not only were they projecting on you the whole time and transferring onto you, but you were projecting and transferring onto them. You will laugh at how seriously you took it all. And you'll realize now that all of the pain that you have associated has nothing to do with them, or very little to do with them. So we're going to talk today about powerlessness, but before we do that, again, this is a question and answer. So if you want to be part of the question and answer, if you want to be part of the, whatever you call this, the chat, the way that I prefer to do things is that you ask an honest question. That means a question that you think I have the answer to that you don't, or you share an honest feeling. An honest feeling is I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm happy. An honest feeling is not I think that Jesus, or honest feeling, I feel that Jesus is Lord. That's not a feeling. That's an opinion. And the sad part is that many people, I dare say most people, don't know the difference between a feeling and an opinion. So if you have a feeling, you can share that as well. I'm also letting you know that if you interact on the chat in any way, there is a good chance I will say something you don't like. There is a good chance that I will respond to you in ways that you think are perhaps abusive. You may think I'm being dogmatic and authoritarian and grandiose, which I very well may be. I may say something you don't like. I may psychoanalyze you. In fact, I'm sure I probably will. So if you want to avoid all that, then don't interact at all. Having said that, let's go ahead and take a look at the comments. I love comments because if it's a comment that I feel I want to respond to, it means that many other people have the same experience. And so it's worth talking about. Bear in mind, if you share a comment on my channel, you're doing it in front of the whole world. So I'm not outing you because I've focused on your comment and responded, maybe in a way you don't like. That's one of the things about social media is that people hide behind this illusionary shield of anonymity, but it's not. And it's a way for people to be childish and narcissistic where they can dump their opinion without having somebody staring back at you having an immediate response. The vast majority of the things people say on here, they would never say to somebody's face. And so social media helps to create that narcissistic, childish, grandiose, impermeable way of communicating. And so I like to air some of these comments. Having said that, I find this comment here that I'm going to read incredibly refreshing and surprising. And this is coming from somebody who is a self-admitted borderline. I'm assuming they are in treatment. I won't read the whole thing. This person says, everything you said is so true and accurate. I cannot see why a BPD could be butthurt unless, of course, they are undiagnosed, untreated. Goes on to say, you are being very fair and sensible in your choice of wording. It's really important and interesting that they saw that. So a lot of people can't see past the feeling that they get from what I say. I'm going to read to you, somebody is going to accuse me of being, what do they accuse me of being? Dogmatic. And I am. And I'll go even further. I come across very grandiose. I come across very dogmatic, grandiose, unfeeling, perhaps even abusive at times. But if you listen to the words that I use, you'll find that lots of times you think I'm stigmatizing you or attacking you, when in reality, if you listen to my exact words, my wording, I'm very particular about the words that I use. And if you can get past the overwhelming emotional response that you're having to what I'm saying and listen to the words, you'll realize that there's nothing I'm saying that's an actual personal attack in any way. So this person seems to be able to see that. This person says, again, this is a borderline saying, you're being very fair and sensible in your choice of wording. Let's see, this person goes on to tell their experience and then says it was, so they've been diagnosed for 20 years, they say. And then this person says, it was not until today I realized the guys who related to me were codependents. This is a borderline talking. I didn't know it's possible to have codependency outside of BPD and NPD. Until now, I really believed the guys did put up with my antics because, well, people in love put up with one another's antics, BPD or NPD or not. Because people are different, think differently, and have different outlooks, priorities, and tastes. When you want a relationship to last, you'll have to do some compromises and some sacrifices. That's a very common misunderstanding that borderlines have. They can't tell the difference between the drama that is created within the codependent dynamic of the relationship they have with the normal drama that goes on with, quote, neurotypicals. And my borderline said the same thing. You know, people break up all the time. And I would respond, I say, not like this. But she doesn't know that. She's only known what she knows. And she says, you know, it was interesting. She said to me, people break, you know, because I said something like, you've broken up with me 10 times in the past month. She goes, so what? It happens all the time. Watch the movies, which was a very borderline thing to say because movies are not reality. By definition, they're not reality. I mean, they're superficial, they're two-dimensional movies. And so this is where borderlines get their view of reality from movies. She says, watch movies. It happens all the time. People break up with each other all the time. People cheat on each other. People blah, blah, blah. Happens all the time. That's true. But in a neurotypical relationship, when somebody can hurt you, somebody can betray you, somebody can cheat on you, somebody can lie to you, somebody can, or the relationship can devolve and people can dislike each other and, you know, all of that. It happens in a way that is, even though you don't like it, it still makes sense. It's logical, rational, and there's a timeline you can follow. The relationship will start to get worse over time. Things will start to build up, you know, like the distance will slowly start to come until people wake up and realize this relationship isn't working. And then there might be blow-ups and anger and discoveries of, you know, so-and-so cheated on me, so-and-so did that. But it will never be in such a way where people will go, I don't understand what's happening. People might say that. I don't understand why you don't love me. But, you know, that fades very quickly, and pretty quickly they do understand, even if they feel hurt and betrayed by it. When a borderline does it, it literally has no connection to objective reality. That's the difference. And so borderlines may not know. I don't understand. I hurt you. We're breaking up. It's not working out. Happens all the time. Why are you being so dramatic about it? I remember saying, you know, as my borderline, the day after, you know, doing what they do, telling me that she loved me and I'm going to do this for you and I'm going to do that for you and you're the best person, blah, 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 blah. And then literally within 24 hours being told I was the worst person she could ever be around, that and she was doing it all without any anger. She was a quiet BPD, but without any sympathy or empathy, just telling me what a horrible person I was and why this was. And so you understand why I can't be with you. You're the worst person that's ever existed. And your mere existence is working to destroy my self-esteem. And I obviously, it's not healthy for me to be around you. And my response, was, I can't believe you're doing this. And do you realize the bodies that you're leaving in your wake? And she goes, oh my God, so full on, totally clueless. So that's something she's pointing out here, is that she's saying that in her experience in the past, she may not have understood that this was just normal. This is what happens in relationships. There's drama and chaos and things fall apart. And why are you pointing me out as being something different? That wasn't really her point in this comment, but I thought it was worth looking at. Getting back to her, she says, it wasn't until today I realized the guys who related to me were codependents. I didn't know it's possible to have codependency outside of BPD and NPD. Until now, I really believed the guys did put up with my antics because, well, people in love put up with one another's antics. Because people are different, think differently, and have different outlooks, priorities, and tastes. When you want a relationship to last, you'll have to do some compromises and some sacrifices. Even most neurotypical relationships require it. No, they all do. If not all of them. As a rule, it's about boundaries, as you said, and about rewarding too, I'd say. I'd not in a million years suppose they did put up with my fits and whims because they received from me something specifically related to what a BPD can bring to the table. It was beautifully said. You chose a borderline because of the exact way that they will interact with you. You are not a victim. You hunted for the specific dynamic that would bring up within you the unresolved emotional, psychological abandonment and or abuse you suffered as a child. And only the borderline can bring that. In fact, you may not have grown up with a borderline or a narcissist. You may have just been with somebody who was a codependent themselves, or was an alcoholic, or a drug addict, or a workaholic, or some other thing that was narcissistic in behavior. There was something about your childhood where you were not seen, heard, where you were not loved unconditionally, where your love was based on what you do, not who you are. And it was so damaging and traumatic that it sits under the surface and never gets resolved. And normal relationships, even dysfunctional relationships, don't quite do it. And so you seek out the extreme. You seek out the borderline. You seek out the borderline because the borderline will, when they love bomb you, will give you the feeling of, the feeling you never got. Oh my God, I'm finally being seen and loved for the first time in my life. And then they will abandon you. They will take it away. As quickly as they give it, they will take it away, which will then explode within you. The unresolved feeling of not being seen, heard, and loved. And then you will be in a state of trauma that won't go away, and you stay with the borderline so that that trauma will constantly be stimulated, because what you're desperately trying to do is finally, for the first time in your life, fix the problem. And only the borderline can get you to that state where you are in a trauma bond, where you are stuck in the cycle of trauma, of being abandoned, neglected, unseen, discarded, the infant within you. No other relationship can bring you to that state. And so you seek it out from the borderline so that you can acknowledge it. But it's not an effective strategy because it just keeps you reliving the same trauma over and over and over. In fact, if you're with a borderline, they will re-traumatize you worse each time. That's one of the things that is specific about being with a BPD. Each time they split on you, and again, devalue is the best word for it. Each time they devalue you, they devalue your essence. Each time they devalue you, it is worse than the one before. Each time that they hoover you back, the promise of this time it'll be fixed, because that's what you want. You're trying to fix the problem. You're trying to get your parents to finally see you and love you. And you're doing it through the borderline. The borderline is a proxy. You're trying to get the borderline to finally see you and love you. The dynamic you believe is going on is that if you can love them perfectly enough, they will finally succumb to the controlling influence of your love. They will finally succumb, and they will surrender, and they will say, yes, I will let you love me. You did it perfectly, and now I will love you forever. And you're always this close, and you almost just had it. The last time that they devalued you, just before, you were this close. You were infinitesimally close to actually sealing the deal and fixing the problem. And that happens every single time. And that's, of course, the sales pitch. The sales pitch the borderline gives you is, this time you did it. This time it worked. In fact, I'm just about ready to sign my soul over to you, and oh my God, out of nowhere, I'm going to split on you. And you're like, oh my God, you almost signed the paper. You almost had it. Next time. But each next time gets worse and worse and worse until finally there is nothing left of you. There is no identity in you left. They have transferred onto you all of their complete lack of identity. They have transferred onto you their absolute fear of abandonment. And they have transferred onto you all the hopelessness and the pain that they feel. They still have it. They think they've given it to you, but they haven't. They still have theirs. When there's nothing left of you, when there's no personality left, when there's no strength, when there's no empowerment within you, when there is literally nothing left for you to give to them, they will then give you the final devaluation, which will be utterly devastating and complete, even to the point of physically attacking you, destroying your vehicle, getting you put in prison, accusing you of abuse, rape, things that you never did. They confabulate something that didn't happen, and they will, they will honestly believe you did it when you didn't. It will be such a devastating final discard that it could mean the end of your life. It could kill you. Anyway, that's what you're doing instead of the 4 things, which will heal. Now, the blessing of the borderline is that the borderline finally reveals to you the overwhelming intensity of your trauma. That's the one thing they do brilliantly. And that can be beneficial if you then go and do the 4 things. Because before the borderline, you didn't know how deep the trauma went within you. It was insulated. And now it's been, popped open and, like having your appendix burst inside of you. Your codependence has now burst within you, and now it is toxically destroying you. But the good news is now you know how badly you need the healing. And so now the 4 things can actually go in and do some good. So that's the good thing about it, if you're able to see that. But what I thought was really wonderful, again, I'll read it again because it was brilliantly stated. Until now, the borderline says, until now, I really believe the guys did put up with my antics because, well, people in love put up with one another's antics. That's true. Except borderline antics are not neurotypical antics. They're a whole other category of antics. Until now, I believe the guys did put up with my antics because, well, people in love put up with one another's antics, BPD or NPD or not. Because people are different, think differently, have a different outlook, priorities, and tastes. When you want a relationship to last, you'll have to do some compromises and some sacrifices. Even most neurotypical relationships require it, if not all of them, as a rule. It's about boundaries, as you said, and about rewarding too, I'd say. I'd not in a million years suppose They did put up with my fits and whims because they received from me something specifically related to what a BPD can bring to the table. I thought it was because that's what people do, and because something I can offer coming from my person who is much more than just the disorder. Now I got me so much retrospective thinking to do. So what this borderline is also saying is that she has come to the realization that, oh my God, my partners were projecting on me the whole time. They didn't see me. It was simply the fact that I have this typical, this specific type of neurotic behavior that they were seeking. They weren't really there because of me. They were there because of the specific mental illness I had sparked within them their unresolved needs. She's realizing she was an object. So the victims of borderlines will rightly say, I've been objectified, I've been used. You're right. This is the narcissist part. They don't see you for who you are. They project onto you all of their, mommy and daddy issues onto you. You don't exist. The best way that I remember reading, which described it and helped me considerably when I was first trying to figure out what was going on, is I read, a borderline never really sees you. They see a fuzzy outline of a person that they project all of their internal issues onto. In other words, it's got nothing to do with you. You just happen to be there. But the same is true for the borderline. The partner of the borderline never really sees the borderline. They project onto the borderline. They transfer onto the borderline their, mommy and daddy issues onto them. So this now, I find it really refreshing that a borderline can realize that, oh, I was projected upon. It had nothing to do with me. They sought me out because I would abuse them in a very specific way. They enabled me to abuse them in a very specific way. It had nothing to do with me. I'm not just a horrible person. And it's the same reality that the partner goes through as well. Anyway, I thought that was beautiful. Let me read to you something, because as I started out in the beginning of this, lecture, I started to tell you how I don't care whether you like me, don't like me. I have no agenda on you whatsoever. I'm only interested in one thing. I am aware, if I didn't say this before, I'll say it now. I am aware of the almost assured outcome that you will not like what I have to say. That what I'm telling you to do, you will resist. That even though I make it clear that this channel is about doing the four things, you won't do them. You will do some or a few of them, but you will not do all of them. I know that going into it. I know that it is absolutely against everything in you to do the four things. Listening to me talk about what I just talked about, you love that. Especially if I talk about how, what's going on with the mental illness of the borderline and why you have to understand they have a mental illness and here's what's going on with them and here's what's going on with their brains and they're actually a form of narcissism. You love that. You love anything that helps you to identify with the pain, which I am also wanting to do. You should identify with the horror that you've been through, the abuse that you've been through. I want you to acknowledge the reality of that and get out of the denial of that. And all of that, I know, will not empower you to heal. You have to do the four things. And I know that the likelihood of you doing the four things is almost nil. And if you end up doing the four things, it's because you're desperate enough that you know that there's nothing else, not because you think it's a good idea. So when I say you have to do the four things, it's not like I'm telling you to, you have to take vitamin C and it's something very easy or pleasurable for you to do. I already know that you're not going to want to do it. So I know that going into it. But people don't know that. They show up to the channel and they enjoy, there's something that I'm saying for the first time. Somebody's talking to them in a way where they connect, they feel empowered, they feel heard, and they love that and they love me. And they will spout on and on and on about how amazing and wonderful I am. And the truth is if they did the 4 things, they would realize the same thing that I realized. They wouldn't think anything amazing about me because they'd have the same awareness that I have. I don't think that I have that amazing awareness. Whatever gifts I have as a person to explain, whatever gifts I have to talk about psychological this, that, or others, really, I don't deny that I may have some gifts, but really, ultimately, anybody does the 4 things, they're going to have the same awareness that I have. So there's nothing unusual about me. But this person says this was 4 days ago, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. This is a huge paragraph lauding my praises. Hi, Mike. Just wanted to let you know that I came to your channel a few months ago because I wanted to find out about BPD, but that you gave me much more. The best summary on how the subconscious, that person really means to say unconscious, that's okay. 99.99% of the time when somebody uses the word subconscious, they really mean unconscious. It's one of my little things. Anyway, the best summary on how the subconscious mind works I have come across, meaning me. Thank you for that. I'm also glad you catched up to the political reality and on my other channel. That's got nothing to do with this. Anyway, this person goes on and on. Then starts to give me unsolicited advice on how I should look at the political thing going on in the world. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see, what else? You gave me much being a straightforward and intelligent voice on BPD. And I wish somebody else would have told me earlier what I was telling you now. So at least I wanted to, okay, all right. So the whole thing was about, now that I love you, let me now give you unsolicited advice. That's a very codependent thing to do. But this person, as you read, says all these wonderful things about me 4 days ago. And then today, just like an hour ago, this person says, same person, I never watched the questions part of your streams. I didn't knew that your mental situation in communication with others was that of a primitive rageaholic asshole. As with your dramatic meat-headedness, they wrote mead, but they meant meat-headedness. As with your dogmatic meat-headedness, sad for an otherwise such gifted person. So they went from telling me how amazing I was to now attacking me on a personal level, calling me a primitive rageaholic asshole, and dogmatic. Now, the one thing that I will own is that I am dogmatic, and I do not apologize for that. When you're driving your car down the street in the United States, you must drive on the right side of the road. If you do not drive on the right side of the road, you very well could die. It could kill you. You will get hit by a car. You will break the law. You may end up killing somebody else. And that is a fact. So that is one of those dualistic, dogmatic things. If you want to drive your car on the road in the United States, you must drive on the right side of the road. No exceptions. So when I tell you, in my experience, the only way you will ever get any healing is if you do the 4 things, I am quite aware that I am dogmatic about it. Because your life, in my opinion, depends on it. If you find another way that works for you, I won't have any problem with that either. I won't get upset with you. I won't want to argue with you. If you can convince me that you've healed, problem is, I've never seen anybody who has been in one of these relationships, who has not done all of the four things, and by the way, I didn't make up the four things, I've just codified them. I've never seen anybody in our situation not do all of the four things and completely heal. They might have some healing, they might have some awareness, but it never really goes away. And in fact, sometimes they end up right back where they were before. And I'm dogmatic about that because that's been my experience and that's what I've seen. Just like every time I've seen somebody drive on the left side of the road in the United States, if they do that consistently, at some point, they'll either get into an accident, cause an accident, and or lose their license, get a ticket. That happens every single time. Every single time that you drive consistently on the left side of the road, those things will happen. Guaranteed. That's a very dogmatic, black and white thing for me to say. And it's also the truth. It's also the truth if you have been with a borderline or a narcissist for any length of time and you do not do the four things, in my experience, you will not completely heal. And in fact, it may kill you. That's what I've seen. All right. Is there anything else that I wanted to say? Yeah, there was somebody else. So I respond. Okay, I won't. Somebody else who knows who they are, who has said over and over again, who wants to come onto the channel. And trust me, I understand where they're coming from. They now come onto both of my channels and constantly want to get into the same discussion about how the borderline did it to me and how I'm a victim and blah, blah, blah. And at the same time, praising me. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. And I've said, well, now that I acknowledge that, now go do the four things. And the person just keeps making excuses. Why they won't do the four things. And I respond negatively to them now. They come onto the channel, they kiss my ass, tell me how amazing I am, and then launch into their feelings of their pain. Or here's another thing that won't get you anywhere, but you think it does. When people say, I know my part, I know what I've done, I know that it has to do with my childhood, I realize I need to do the four things. That admission means nothing. That does not give you any points. It does not take you any, it's like as you're about to drink the poison, you're saying, I'm aware that I'm drinking the poison because of, I'm insane and I have a suicidal obsession. And the fact that I know that, it at least gets me somewhere as you begin to drink the poison. No, the poison will still kill you. The intellectual acknowledgement that you know that the poison will kill you will not somehow protect you from the poison. So telling me that you know that you should do the four things and that I know I'm such a horrible person and the pseudo, false guilt somehow gives you some kind of awareness, it doesn't. And so I don't have any sympathy. And I've told this person, I have no sympathy for you. I don't believe you. I think you're full of crap. If you really honestly understood what you say you understood, you would actually go do it. The fact that you're not doing it, I understand, because after 40 years, after almost 40 years of being in 12-step recovery myself, the hardest thing in the world that I had to do was to go no contact with my borderline, knowing everything that I know. I still couldn't do that on my own. I had to go no contact and get my ass to a CODA meeting and start working the steps with a sponsor. And that was the hardest thing for me to do after 40 years of 12-step work. So I'm not unaware that it is at least as difficult for you. The four things are incredibly simple. Anybody can do them. Even if you can't get your hands on a psychologist because you don't have the money. I've already said that doing number 2 is the most important thing. You can do 1, 2, and 4, and that won't cost you anything. Anybody can do it. So there's no excuse. You can do it online. You can do a Zoom meeting on CODA. So you can't say, oh, there's no CODA meetings in my neighborhood. I don't care. You have internet access. You can go to a Zoom meeting. You can get a sponsor. You can work the steps. You can sponsor somebody else. Even if you're confined to a wheelchair in your home, you can still do it. The only one that would be challenging is number 3, which is paying for a psychologist. So you can't pay for a psychologist. You can still do the other 3. You choose not to do it. I want to have sympathy for you, but I can't. As difficult as I know that it is, it's still very simple and very doable. All right. Now I can get to any questions if there are any. Bear in mind, if you have a question, write the word question in all caps so I can see it. I prefer questions and honest feelings. Anything else is just noise, and I will probably scroll through it. So Evan Wenzel, I've seen your name before. You know the drill. Write the word question in all caps, please. I do that not just because I'm a controlling pain in the ass. I do it because if you don't, I might not see your question. And the whole point is for me to help you. If I don't see your question, I can't help you. Evan Wenzel, one of the 4 things is AANA meetings. No, that's not what I said. And by the way, I will have more respect if you can write in full sentences. So go ahead and write in a full sentence. I know it's difficult. Maybe you're using your thumbs. But come on, give yourself. This is about respecting yourself. Speak in full sentences. Make sure I completely understand what you're doing. So you're asking me, is one of the 4 things AANA meetings? I didn't say that. If you look right above you, 2 most important things in life: pay attention, put effort. So you haven't done either of those things because right above you it says the 12 steps of CODA.org. Having said that, I don't care which 12-step group you use. If you relate to AA or NA, yes, then one of the things would be that. Would you talk about this and why it's important? I didn't say that AA or NA is important because if you're not an alcoholic or a drug addict, then neither of those 12-step groups will work for you. CODA will work for everybody, regardless of what other 12-step issues you have. If you've been with a borderline, you are by definition a codependent. So it's not the particular 12-step group that matters. What matters is doing the steps about your borderline issue. The first step is powerlessness. I am powerless over people, places, and things. I am powerless over my borderline ex. I am powerless over my addiction to them, whatever. That's the first step. You can work that in any of the 12 steps, in any 12-step program. You can get together with your sponsor and say, I need to work the steps on my relationship. I need to work the steps on my addiction to bowling. You can work the 12 steps on anything. All right, what else? Again, looking for the questions. Marco finally writes a question. He says, can you explain why people with BPD do to you what they fear you could do to them? Marco, have you done the 4 things? I've seen your name many times. Has it been on this channel or the other channel? I honestly don't know. So the answer to that question is because they have a mental illness. You're asking me, why are they doing such an irrational thing? I could get into that. I've done it in many other videos, so feel free to watch the other videos. But the point is the answer to that question is meaningless to you if you haven't done the 4 things. Here's the other thing that's interesting. You want to know why people keep asking me the same questions over and over again? Why they keep asking me questions about the borderline? Marco isn't asking, what can I do? Why do I keep? He could ask the question this way. Can you explain why codependents are constantly going after somebody they know will continuously reject them? He's not asking that question. He's not asking about himself. He wants to focus on the borderline. He wants to know why the borderline is screwed up. It's not enough for me to tell them they have a mental illness, which means that they don't do rational things. You'll never understand. It's not enough for him to go, oh, they've got a mental illness. Oh, they're not rational. Oh, so I won't ever understand. if we were talking about somebody that suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, and somebody said, why does the paranoid schizophrenic hear voices? And I say, oh, because they have a genetic, thing going on. Their brain doesn't work right. They have a mental illness. You would go, okay, they're insane. I don't understand that, but that's all I need to know. No, that's not enough for Marco. That's how I know, Marco, you haven't done the 4 things. Because if you do the 4 things, you won't ever ask that question again. So the thing I keep telling you guys is that if you do the 4 things, your questions will either be answered or they will become meaningless to you. You will realize that question has no meaning for you anymore. So, Marco, you haven't done the work, right? I can tell. And by the way, it's not because I'm psychic. Anybody who's done the 4 things can read your question and know you haven't done the 4 things. So the 4 things are very simple. Anybody can do them. They're not easy. Probably the hardest thing you will ever do in your life. But if you want freedom, that's where you go. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to co-sign people's stuff by continuously rehashing what is wrong with the borderline. I've done it. I'm not in the same place I was 2 years ago when I started this channel. When I started this channel, I was where you are now. I was in the midst of doing the 4 things and I needed to talk about it. So go back, watch some of the old videos, and you can hear me go on for hours about why they do that. What else? Kan anal, honest feeling. I have done the 4 things for a month and a half, and I thought I forgot about her, but I saw the pictures and messages we shared, and instantly I felt like she's so darn attractive. Well, you made some progress. So you said, I thought I forgot about her. You did forget about her. And then you were reminded of her. But if you're still continuing to do the 4 things, that feeling that you have about her being so darn attractive, that will fade more quickly than it normally would have. It's again progress, not perfection. It's not that you have to be perfect out of the gate, but that you are better than you were. And you just said that. You've made progress. I thought I forgot about her for a month and a half. It's only been a month and a half, by the way. That's nothing. So I'm hearing that it worked. You said, am I not fully healed yet? Yes, it's true. You are not fully healed yet. That's okay. But you are more healed than you were, right? Now, Kan Anal is pointing out exactly what I was saying about Marco. Marco doesn't have the ability yet to ask or even know what questions to ask about himself because he hasn't done the 4 things. Kan Anal has done the 4 things. His question isn't about the borderline. His question is about himself, which means he's taking responsibility. Marco is not yet, at least not in that question. Kan Anal is taking responsibility and he's asking the right question. Am I not fully healed yet? No, you're not. And good for you that you see that, because that means you'll do the 4 things some more. You'll gain some more healing. So congratulations, keep it up. Marco says, yes, I'm doing the 4 things. Well, then why are you asking me this question? Why are you not asking your sponsor this question? I'm not your sponsor. Ask your sponsor. So when you say you're doing the 4 things, does that mean that you're working the 12 steps in Coda with a sponsor? Why are you still focusing on the borderline? Why are you not taking this and putting this into your 4th step? You should be working a 4th step. If you're doing the 4 things and you're asking these questions, it means it's time to do step 4 of the 12 steps. Have you done step 4? Have you worked with a sponsor? Are you really doing the 4 things, or are you just telling me that? Or have you convinced yourself you're doing the 4 things when you're not? That is an honest question. You might actually be in the midst of doing the 4 things and you haven't, you're not perfect yet. Unfinished list. Question. Do you have advice around selecting a Coda sponsor? Find anybody. More than likely, your Coda sponsor is, struggling through. Here's what I've run into. In other 12-step groups, they have a different thing about sponsorship. The first time you show up, they tell you, get a sponsor. Before you leave here, get a phone number and get a sponsor. For some reason, I don't completely understand. In CODA, they do this thing where sometimes they say, go to 6 meetings before you get a sponsor. Okay, fine. Go to 6 meetings. I don't care. But they seem to be really kind of, they drag their feet until they finally commit. I've also heard things about, somebody said my sponsor was working the steps as well. So find whatever sponsor you can. If you don't like the sponsor you have, keep looking for another one. You can sponsor shop. Any sponsor who gets their feelings hurt because you dump them for another sponsor will just have to go and work the steps on you. So this isn't a marriage commitment. This isn't anything like that. You are looking for somebody who will walk you through the 12 steps. That's the job of a sponsor. The sponsor is not there to love you, to be your best friend. You may get a very close relationship with them. You may talk with them on the phone every day. That's incidental. If they're not working the steps with you, they're not doing their job. And if they're only working the steps with you and not doing anything else, they're doing their job. In fact, when I sponsor people, I tell them, I'm not your friend. I'm not your counselor. Don't call me at 4 o'clock in the morning. I have a life. Call me when you want to work a step. If you don't want to work a step, I'm sorry, I have other things to do. You can get other phone numbers and hang out and talk to other people. When you want to work a step, that's when you call me. And the reason is because the steps are the only thing that really change the neural pathways in the brain. The fellowship is healing. The talking is healing. Don't get me wrong. But it's the steps that actually do the work. So my advice is to get any sponsor you can get. If they are not working the steps with you, keep that sponsor until you find somebody who will work the steps with you. And then you can say, thank you, I found another sponsor. And it's okay if they don't like that. Unfinished list, 1 out of 2. I felt overwhelmed. I'm afraid to make a wrong choice. Well, you can't make a wrong choice. Again, it's not a marriage commitment. You make a wrong choice about your wife or your husband, you're going to have to deal with the consequences of that. You pick the wrong sponsor, not a big deal. You pick another one. You can shop all you want. So you don't have to worry about, I can understand your fear, but you don't have to worry about it. I'm afraid to disappoint someone. Well, get over it because you will disappoint people. That's insane of you to think that you won't disappoint people. So you'll learn that when you work the 12 steps. You'll learn that, other people's disappointment of me doing what I need to do to take care of myself is not my problem. That's their issue. Con anal. Coda and okay, whatever. That's not a question. Honest feelings, 2 out of 2. I worry that I am resisting choosing in order to not do anything and remain unhealed. You are correct. It's been 2 days. I haven't messaged anyone back. Yes. So welcome to being in the grips of your codependence. You are now experiencing unconscious resistance, which every codependent goes through, and that's normal. It's not about what you feel, although I have told people to please share your feelings. But one of the things that borderlines, you know this, you've been with a borderline. You could say to a borderline, listen, it's not about what you feel, it's about what you do. You may feel as though I'm out to destroy you, but if you can just take the action of hanging on for 6 hours and realizing that I didn't do what you just said, and if you take the actions of a loving person, we'll be okay. Well, you have the feeling that you want to act out destructively against your recovery by second guessing yourself and saying, I don't want to get a sponsor because I'm afraid of making a wrong choice and I'm afraid of hurting somebody's feelings. That's just a feeling. You can now take the action of somebody who doesn't have those feelings. You can have those feelings while taking a contrary action. This is the core of 12-step recovery. Contrary action. Learning how to take actions that are completely contrary to all of your thoughts, feelings, impulses. So that's all that's happening. You have this impulse to sabotage your healing by not getting a sponsor, and you have this impulse to co-sign and people please somebody which you know is destructive towards you, when you don't have to do either of those things. You can have those feelings and do the opposite action. So you're learning. Marco, I'm doing the 4 things, but it's nothing that will solve overnight. You're a bit rough. Marco, I can tell you're bullshitting me about something. Because if you were doing the 4 things, you wouldn't defend yourself this way. So there's something you're not doing. I asked you a very specific question. I said, are you working the steps with a CODA sponsor? So I think you're going to answer that in the next. Again, it's not a question. It's not a feeling. You're now arguing with me. You're wanting to create some drama with me so that you can divert yourself from the fact you're not doing the work, which is not my problem. That's your problem. I'm not rough on you because you haven't done the work. That's your problem, not mine. You say, the first time I went to a CODA group, they were at step 11, so I'm not at step 4 yet. You're not working with a sponsor, are you? Why are you giving me excuses? Because you haven't done the work. If I hear what you're saying and you're telling me the complete truth, that you're regularly going to meetings, why is it that you don't have a sponsor? You're going to meetings, but they're on step 11. They weren't on step 11. They were talking about step 11, which is good. That's a good thing. That's not their fault that they weren't talking about the step that I just told you should be doing. But I don't even know if you've done step 1 or 2 yet. So Marco, I'm not making things up when I can tell. I've told you, I can tell when you're doing the work or not. I'll know if you're bullshitting me. I'll know if you're half-assing it. I'll know. And by the way, so will anybody else. It's not that I'm psychic. So what you're not telling me is that you're not going on a regular basis, you're not working with a sponsor, and you haven't formally started working the steps with anybody, which means you're going to do what you just did, which is you're going to ask me questions about why the borderline does what they do. And I'm going to go, why are you talking about the borderline? If you're doing the 12 steps, why aren't you talking about yourself? The other person's doing the 12 steps. Their question was about themselves. That's the difference. Now, Marco can get all bent out of shape and get their feelings hurt. But this is, again, going to the doctor when they've given you the antibiotics and they say you have to take all antibiotics twice a day, and you come back 2 weeks later and you said, yeah, I took a couple of them and it gave me an upset stomach, and so I stopped taking it. And then the doctor's going to go, what the hell are you doing? I told you to take all of the antibiotics, and I told you to take it was very simple, and you didn't do that. Now I have to give you another set of antibiotics, which may not work because you might have created a superbug in you. Now, the good news is you don't have to worry about that. Working the 12 steps will always work. What else? Fleet Foxer question, do you think, is this going to be abusive? Do you think you learned anything new about yourself from beating with Untreated Borderline? Somebody asked me that question, and I already said that earlier on. So, yes. I realized that the borderline was a proxy for my mother, that the pain I was feeling about my borderline was really about my mom, not about the borderline. I don't really have a sponsor. Well, you either have one or you don't. So there's no don't really. So, okay, now you know. You say, but I'm in the Signal chat group of my CODA group. I have no idea what that means. So look, as I said, I know that CODA can be weird about sponsors and whatever. Get one. Find out what it is you need to do to get one, and get one. And if one meeting won't provide you with a sponsor, go to another one. While you're putting all of that time and effort chasing down the meeting that will have a sponsor in it, you won't be focused on your borderline, and you won't be dating a borderline. You will be taking action towards doing the 4 things thoroughly. And that's all I'm suggesting that you do. And you're doing there's nothing untypical about what you're doing. Making excuses, half-assing it. This is part of the resistance, because actually doing the 4 things thoroughly is very painful and very frightening, and your unconscious is going to try and stop you. So there's nothing unusual about what you're doing, Marco. I'm not angry with you personally. And you are one of a billion other people who get into this and only do it partially because they have unconscious resistance. Get your ass to a CODA meeting and get yourself a sponsor. Stop screwing around. Or my prediction is you will not fully heal. So do you want to heal? Do you want to feel better? Stop making excuses. I'm your best friend right now. I'm not co-signing any of your garbage. You want me to co-sign it. You want me to say, that's okay, Marco. It's difficult. You want me to condescend to you. You want me to treat you like a helpless little 4-year-old. And I know that you're not. And I know that if you can get your ego out of the way and just do it, and do it with everything that you have, then you can heal. And that's all I care about. I want to do my part to let you heal yourself. Ronald, but having said that, I appreciate your honesty to the extent that you have been. So now, go do it. Get up off your ass and go do it. Ronald Gentile. Honest feelings. I've begun the 4 things. Okay, I'm not quite sure what that means. What I've noticed lately is that the more time I spend watching this channel and other similar channels, the more I feel stuck in the rumination loop. So you've become aware. Good. Now you know that ruminating doesn't help you. Whereas before, you thought that you were doing something by ruminating. You thought you were accomplishing something. What you're realizing is that rumination is about control. So what codependents don't realize is that they're trying to control everything, other people, and control themselves. And the first step is to give up control. I realize that I'm powerless. Rumination is trying to control. The reason why Marco is asking me questions about his borderline X is because on an unconscious level, at the very least, he wants to know what he can do to control the borderline. If he thinks he can figure out why they do what they do, then he'll be able to stop them from doing that and get them to do what he wants. Now, he doesn't consciously think that. He just thinks he has this question that won't go away. But I'm telling you, that's why the 4 things will get rid of the questions. When I say when you do the 4 things, you will either answer the questions or they will become meaningless to you. Because at some point you will stop needing to control other people. At some point you will drop the need to get them to love you, even on an unconscious level, and then those questions will disappear. And then when somebody asks you, why did your borderline do this? You go, I don't know, and I don't care. All I know is that she was unable to love me. That's all that matters. Marco doesn't know that because he hasn't completely done the 4 things yet. And I'm saying this, Marco, not to give you a hard time, because you can do them. You can do them just as easily as anybody else. There's no difference between, if I can do it, you can do it. So, Ronald, that's an honest feeling. You didn't ask a question. Con and all, honest question. Okay, you don't need to say honest question. You can just write the word question, but that's okay. Mike, do you think borderline can feel attractive, lovely, etc. during the devaluation stage, or do they act only horribly? I don't even know how to answer that question or why. I don't care. And why are you asking that question? I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. Yeah, who cares? They can't love you. If I answer the question, do you think the borderline, if I answer the question of can they feel attractive or not, has nothing to do with the fact that they can't love you. So how does that question help you? It doesn't. It doesn't make you feel any better. It won't do anything to cure you in any way. What else? Evan Wenzel, how long did you do the 4 things? Again, write the word question, please. How long did you do the 4 things before you? So, Evan, have you done the 4 things? Did you say whether you have? What difference does it make how long it took me? You're asking me because I'm assuming because you want to get an idea of how long it'll take before you feel recovered. I can't answer that question for you. As I've said before, and I will say again, it took me however long it took me. It took me actually a very short period of time, but that's because I've been doing the 12 steps for 40 years. If you haven't been doing, if this is your first time doing the 12 steps, it's almost guaranteed it will take you longer than it took me. So you are your own person. You have your own history, your own neural pathways. It's going to take you however long it's going to take you. But if you're doing it, you will be in the process of making progress and feeling better. And that's the only thing that you can be guaranteed, is that on the whole, if you're doing the four things, you will be getting better. Your life will be improving. You will have ups and downs, but you will be improving. So no, it didn't take 2 years before. I've been doing this channel for 2 years, but it took much less than 2 years, but it may take you 5 years before you are, quote, healed. It's got nothing to do with me. Does that mean if I tell you how long and you're going to go, oh, that's too long, are you not going to do the work? If you have a life-threatening illness and you know it'll take you 10 years before you'll be completely healed, does that mean after 2 years you're going to stop because you're more healed than you were yesterday? That's all that matters, Evan. Just do the work and you will be more healed today than you were the day before. What else? Khan Anal, this is why I don't like people talking to you. He says, I did it for 1.5 months, but I think it will usually take months. It doesn't help them. I understand you're trying to help, but you don't know how long it's going to take them. Everybody's different. We don't know. Evan Wenzel, question, there we go. Do you have any information about the prognosis for recovery? So I've just answered that question. No. Your need to know that is not healthy. That's coming from your need to control, which is part of your codependence. Stop needing to control things. Again, you're setting me up to give you an answer that you won't like. If I say it'll take 5 years, which there is no time, but if I said, oh, it'll take you 5 years, if I tell you that, is that going to be too much and therefore you're not going to do it? So stop trying to control, just go do it. Khan and all again with another honest question. Did you feel your borderline is attractive? Okay, I'm not going to answer that question. What difference does it make how I felt? You feel your borderline is attractive and lovely even during the devaluation stage. What difference does it make? You feel however you feel. What about you? Why aren't you asking questions about you? Because you're not doing the work? So you said I've done it for 1.5 months. So you're only 1.5 months into it. Are you working with a sponsor? Are you doing the steps? I'm hoping you can get to the place where you don't need to ask these kinds of questions because they're meaningless. There's no answer I can give you that will, number one, take away the rumination or the pain. There's nothing I can say that will take away the fact that they're incapable of loving you. If I say yes or no to your question, it won't change that fact. And that's the only thing that matters. Why are you chasing after somebody that can't love you? Thanks, I just wrote all of them back. I don't know what you're talking about. Just out of curiosity. Okay, so you messaged back. Good for you. You took action. So what you did is you took contrary action. You did not want to message the people in Coda back because of your fear and your resistance. And so you did the opposite. Even though you felt like taking a destructive action, you took a positive action which was very painful and opposite to your inaccurate methods of self-protection. That's working the four things. You took contrary action. Good for you. And now you've done everything you have to do. Have you done everything that you can today? Yes. You wrote back the people who reached out to you. You can relax now. Have all of your feelings. You've done what you need to do. All right. Marco's going to argue with me. Marco, how successful are you going to be arguing with me? I mean, do you really think I'm going to go, oh, Marco, you're different? It's not just about control to try and understand my ex. It's a defensive mechanism called intellectualization. You just repeated yourself. The defensive mechanism of intellectualization is a form of control. I'm telling you what you don't know on an unconscious level. Unconscious means you're not aware of it. I'm revealing to you that in your unconscious mind, you actually are trying to get your borderline to love you. Asking these questions are a way of trying to control them so you can get them to love you. On a conscious level, you don't know that. On a conscious level, you think you're asking a question that's driving you crazy. I know that because I've been where you are. And in hindsight, I can look back and know that every time I asked one of those questions, what I was really doing was I was unconsciously trying to get the ability to control my borderline ex so that I could get them to love me, although I was in denial about it. So, Marco, accept what I say, don't accept it. You're not going to be very successful in out-arguing me about this. And you can accept or believe what I say. I don't care. As long as you're doing the work, that's the only thing that matters to me. Your opinions, your views will change over time. And if you keep doing the four things, in another couple of years, you will look back and you will go, looking back in hindsight, what I was really doing, but you're not there yet. So it's okay. Yes, unfinished list. Yes, that's I gathered that. All right, I don't see any more questions. I wish you guys all the best. Happy New Year's to all. And again, if I have said anything that was hurtful, that hurt your feelings, that you feel I was too harsh or too direct or too whatever, know that it's coming from a desire to help. One of the things when I responded to the person I told you who was singing my praises and then magically, I became the worst person that ever existed. Sounds a lot like a borderline. They called me a primitive rageaholic asshole. So know that at no time have I ever felt angry or rageful towards anybody on this channel. No time have I ever took anything personally. If I've blocked somebody, it's because they're abusive. And my response to this person was, in my response, I said, I don't think I have ever personally attacked someone and called them names. I'm direct and aggressive at times, but I never call someone an asshole, to the best of my recollection. And I asked this person, is it possible to have expressed your feelings about me without the personal attack? Don't you find it a little hypocritical to attack someone personally who has not personally attacked you? So I don't know what I said to this person. I obviously didn't tell them what they wanted to hear. I may have said, I thought you were full of shit. That's not a personal attack, by the way. I'm not calling you an asshole or a horrible person or you deserve to die. I'm saying, I think you're full of shit. I don't believe you. Not because you're trying to lie to me, but because you're in denial. You, like me, suffer from this codependence that has within it this denial, this desire to, this unconscious defense mechanism, as Marco points out, to do these destructive things to ourselves. So I never take it personally. But I never attack anybody personally. You may feel like I do, but what I'm doing is I'm holding up sometimes a harsh mirror when I say you're full of shit. You say such and such, but I know you haven't done the work. I can tell. I can tell when you haven't done the work. And that's okay. That's not an attack. So, but if somebody is abusive, I do block them because that means that person isn't trying to get better. Maybe by blocking them, it'll piss them off enough they'll go do the work. And here's another thing: if I piss you off, then that's good because then you have a resentment. You say, well, I don't know what I should write my fourth step about. Well, now you do. You're pissed off at me, and you can make me the focus of your fourth step. So feel free to have whatever feelings you have about me. You will not affect me in any way, unless maybe I'm having a bad day or something. All right, so that's it for me, guys. I wish you all the best. I will see you when I see you. A question came up here towards the end. Marco, question. This is not, by the way, let's see, let me just read it first. Don't you fear that dropping all defense mechanisms such as intellectualization could lead to even more painful decompensation? Marco, I don't think you understand what defense mechanism means. So what you said in this last one, I thought that you were revealing an honest expression of I have a defense mechanism, which is part of your neurosis. It's not a good thing. But now you're actually saying, no, I was operating from a defense mechanism, and that's a good thing. So you're actually defending what you were doing. Don't I fear that dropping all defense mechanisms could lead to even more painful decompensation? I don't know what that is. You really are. You're right. You're highly intellectual. Your intellectualization is exactly what you said. It's a defense mechanism against your emotions. And it doesn't serve you. It is your intellect is what keeps you sick. Your intellect, your desire to avoid your painful feelings will always get you in worse trouble. Working the steps is about getting honest about your feelings, among other things. So do I fear that avoiding your feelings will make you more vulnerable to pain and attack? No. You're supposed to feel the pain. That's why you do it with a sponsor. So I'm not afraid of that at all. I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. Dropping the defensiveness and having the feelings doesn't feel good. It feels frightening. It feels vulnerable, but that's just a fear. That's just a feeling. So again, Marco, I can see you haven't done the work because when you do the work, you won't ask these kinds of questions. That's okay with me that you haven't. It's not a judgment, but do you want to feel better? If you do, stop giving yourself bullshit excuses to not thoroughly do the 4 things. Just stop. Just go do it. All right. That's it for me, guys. I wish you all the best. Happy New Year. And I will see you when I see you. See, did something ever come up there? No. Okay. All right. See you guys.